back to Gathering Grounds Gaming, and today we're going to focus on some DIY terrain that looks professional for your wargaming table. So the reason why I want to look at this today is I'm still getting lots of feedback from people saying that wargaming is really expensive to get into. The amount of accessories and terrain that you need for the tabletop it just makes it really expensive. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just continue to sort of show you some terrain that you can build yourself at home that isn't really expensive to build. The materials aren't expensive. You don't have to have lots of expensive tools, and you don't have to have lots of prior experience to get some of these built. So the thing I wanted to focus on today is just a like a fantasy ruin that will look good on the table but also be really playable. And I say lots of people give me feedback saying they love the fact that the things I build are really playable, and that's because I love terrain that you can use for Dungeons and Dragons, like Lord of the Rings, even like 40k, that sort of fits into those different areas. So they have to be playable as well as look really good on the table. The first thing I want to talk about is I just want to say thanks very much for watching the video today. I've had loads of new supporters, and I really appreciate people that are following. I really appreciate that you're subscribing. If you are new to the channel today and you like the look of this type of content, I love it if you can just like the video, subscribe to my channel. It just helps me get out to more people and just helps sort of YouTube know that people like watching my content, so it'll recommend it to other people. If you're looking to support me in other ways, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. If you go down in the description below, you'll see the link to my Patreon. Basically, it starts at a few pounds a month. It just allows me to put a bit more time into these videos, and obviously with more time comes better quality videos. There's lots of different things I want to explore, especially in terms of like how I make the videos. But with that, you'll get things like early content, you'll get behind the scenes and sort of like little updates on things that I'm working on. I try to do some sort of like magic movies of some of the projects I'm currently working on before they hit YouTube. And you'll get access to my Discord as well. So there's a few of us now. We sort of like just jump on and have a chat about some projects that we're working on. You can ask advice. Other ways you can support me, there's also a link down to my Etsy store where I sell some of the items that I'm currently working on and finished pieces. But there's also lots of other things like accessories. There's singular trees, which are quite popular with people, and lots of things that I've sort of hand sculpted, molded. So there's lots of different ways you can, as I say, you can support me. Just being here is really great, and yeah, thanks for coming back. And as I say, I hope you enjoy the video. What we'll do is, as normal, I'm going to drop down onto the pad, and I'm going to sketch out a few ideas, give you a couple of points that I want to think about, and then we can get building, get cutting the materials. So I'm going to call this Ruined Castle. So the couple of points I really want to include in this is I want there to be sort of like multiple archways, sort of like entrances into the sort of castle, so people can access and sort of fight over in different spaces. I want there to also be like just a small tower which is sort of like ruined, and I want there to be steps going up to it. But I also want to include some few different places for minis to hide. So like I said, sort of like I want there to be sort of like archways under the tower. I want there to be like a little nook maybe under the stairs. Just a couple of thoughts, just so it becomes super playable, but when you're actually playing on it, it gives you some thought about what you want to do. So what we're going to start with is I want it to be like a 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter as well. So that's the last thing, is I want to start doing some 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter pieces, so you can actually connect them together if you want to, but it's a nice generic sort of like sizing for people to sort of look at. So I think the first thing So the first thing I do is cut 4 20cm by 20cm foam sheets. And I'm going to cut the first one in half so I can use this roller to texture it. So this is actually a frozen lake roller from Green Stuff World, but it makes some really good stonework patterns when you roll it over. And I'm going to roll it across both sides before then cutting a door in to make the first archway. And I'm literally just trying the sizing before I sort of carry on, just to make sure that it's sort of even, not too tall, and make sure that obviously it creates the perfect square for the tower. And I want to give it a castle, sort of like that top sort of castle brickwork effect. So I'm actually just measuring out just sort of block work, so I can then sort of cut the pieces out just to give it that effect, not around the whole castle, but just around the side of the tower. There you go. And I'm going to do this on both sets. And I think I'm going to just ruin just one corner of it, so you can see that, as I say, that it's taken a little bit of damage and it's sort of fallen away. And after just sort of measuring the sort of spacing, I'm just going to connect the next one. There's going to be an archway just on this one as well. So I do exactly the same technique on the next piece of wall. And I'm using the shifting lands. So if you have never used shifting lands before, so you can get them on the internet, but you can buy some really good maths templates which have got some really good sort of doorway shapes. If you because the shifting lands templates can be quite expensive if that's all you're buying. And you literally, I just carve in the sort of stonework that are going around the edge of the doorway. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen me do this a lot. I'm just going to drag the actual texture in with a pencil afterwards. And we're just going to glue these first two in place. And I've glued the next one in as well, so you can see that one side of the wall is done. You can see the archways that I'm going to start putting in. I'm going to put a few more of these archways in. It's going to be a bit of a theme across the piece. Now this is the next sort of the wall that's going to go up the stairwell, and I'm going to add just a little window in about halfway up the stairs. So I've just measured how high I want the stairs to be, and I've just used the same sort of shifting lands template just to get a small window in there. And then I'm going to texture it afterwards. Don't worry about putting the texture the whole way down because it's going to be completely covered up. You just cut that window out. And it's just a good marker for where the stairs are going. It's important to put the window in first, so when you're putting the stairs in, you don't end up covering the window with the stairs when you put them in, which is what I have done in the past. So it's a good little tip. Just the same detail as I have with the doors. And there, just added that in. Now I'm just gonna hot glue the side of that in before I then cut. I'm gonna ruin it, so I'm gonna cut it down, but I'm gonna get it in place first, so I've got a line. I'm just gonna lay it flat and then just gonna use a scalpel just to bring the line down. Now, a little thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that I've cut the actual, so you can see I've cut the little stones in so it looks like it's ruined and not just cut straight. And now I'm going to start on the archways on the other wall opposite. There's going to be two archways here, so there's going to be two separate entrances, and this is going to create some really good playability for sort of like, you know, if someone's storming the castle. You've got lots of different entrances and lots of different places where you have to defend. So just like the tower, I've cut the that main wall into 2 strips so I can texture it, and as you can see, I've textured it, and I've added the archway in just like the other pieces, and now I'm just ruining it just before I put it together. And you can see I'm just, like I said, I'm just cutting the stones in so it creates the shape. And when I've done that, I'm going to glue the first piece down, and then I can add the second one in. And on across both of these pieces, I'm going to add some little small windows in, just higher up. You're not going to be able to sort of play on them, play against them, but it just adds a little bit of interest and a bit of style to the piece. It's almost like where you can see that there was a second floor there before it sort of got ruined. And there you go. So that's the main wall's all done. I'm just going to add the little bit of wall that's going to be sort of broken down where the steps are going to be, just so I can measure out where the steps are actually going to go. So I've cut some strips of foam 4 centimeters wide, and I'm literally just going to cut lots of random size strips just so I can create the steps going upwards. And remember, I've marked where the window is, so I know that 4 high, it takes me up to the bottom of the window. I say just be random about it. You know, they're quite old steps, and so it's actually quite interesting when the steps aren't uniformed. So a little bit like cut differently, and then what I'll do is I'm going to come back in and just texture them like I'm doing now with my trusty stone that my daughter found on the beach. And there you go. So I've added in the sort of the steps going up the other side. And now I'm going to add the entrance, the doorway into the tower from the steps. It's important to do it at this point so you can make sure that you've got the heights all correct. And there you go. That's in place. So I haven't glued it in place yet because I want to add some flagstones under the archways. But you can see now that there's 4 archways that are going under there. Now I want to try and create like a little nook, like I said, underneath the stairs. So I'm cutting just a piece of foam. I've textured it. I'm just doing like a half doorway. So it's like you can just enough just to sneak. There you go. Look, just to sneak a little miniature in there, and so you can hide him. And I'm going to put some little foliage around there so it can be hidden. And I'm just planning out ruining the other side of this tower just so you can get your hands in to be able to sort of play miniatures inside. And there you go. So I've cut the floor. I'm going to texture all the floor first. So I'm going to do like a random flagstone pattern on this. So I'm just going to drag some lines across, no real measuring. And I'm just going to create like a randomized flagstone pattern. And this can literally be big squares, small squares, tiny little squares, just to create like a, you know, real randomized pattern. And then afterwards, I'm going to cut little bits away, sort of chip the flagstones, and then I'll texture it like I've textured everything else. There you go. Created little sort of cracks and stuff in there, taking out little nicks out of it as well. Just gives it a little bit of interest, and when I dry brush it, it will give it a little bit of a sort of colouring, a little bit of interest on the colour as well. And there you go, I'm just a bit of texture there. Really good to try and find yourself like a texturing stone. So I found that my daughter found this on the beach, and it's got loads of different sides to it. It's brilliant. So before I glue all the floor and the tower together, I'm going to add some flagstones, and I'm using just a piece of card from the back of a pad. I'm just, again, cutting out lots of random sized squares. You can see I'm just literally not really thinking about it, just cutting them at any size and whatever width. And here you go. Like, I've literally just covered it in PVA, and I've just sort of sticking them in wherever they fit. I couldn't show you all the footage because unfortunately my head got in the way, my trusty head. And there you go. And when you paint it and add some texturing over it, it will look really, really good. So you're not going to see much of it, but it's, you know, It's good to sort of see it through the doorway. And now I'm just sort of ruining the corners of the tower, just so you can sort of play in the tower. You can see there, look, just gives you enough space to get your hand in. I'm just finishing off the last. There's only going to be half an archway, so it's just the other entrance by the stairs, just to sort of show you that there wasn't an archway there. Again, another entrance into the piece. I think there's 5 entrances onto the piece in all. There you go. And there's the floor all done and glued in. There's the window. You can put an archer there if you want to. Just good. So there's a little hideaway. So it's all sort of like come together now. And there's the, you can see the through into the archway, and I'm going to just show you from the other side so you can see all the way through. There you go. So you can go all the way through the piece. There's lots of little ambush points on there. It just makes it really interesting. Now I'm just going to use some some filler PVA and brown paint to make this paste. I'm just going to basically use it to basically just cover up all of the MDF. Basically use it to fill in any gaps or joins. I'm going to completely cover the bottom of the piece with this before I add some texture. And now I'm going to basically prime it all in black paint PVA just to seal it all before I then put some dry brush it all. As I say, this will cover up any gaps as well, and just be a really good basis to sort of do like a nice sort of dry brush effect for the greys. And there you go. And I'll put this to dry. This, I'd say I'll put this in front of like a heater, and it takes probably about an hour or so to dry. Now this is just a very basic like dark grey overbrush with a mid grey and a light grey dry brush over the top. So it's nothing to say. You can grab these paints for £1 each from the hobby store, and just with like a nice big brush, nothing too expensive. You can literally just do this and just drag the first colour over, just trying to keep a little bit of the black in places, but don't be too strict about it. As I say, if you cover up most of the black, it doesn't matter. It's just a good dark basis for the paint to go over. And there you go. So I've done the dark grey. Now I'm going to come through with the other grey on top. And you can see now where you can see a lot of it. Now you're doing the dry brushing. And if you haven't done dry brushing before, it's literally just about getting a lighter grey on your brush and then rubbing most of it off, just so it catches all the high points and doesn't cover the paint. You can see all the dark spots are still there in the actual piece itself. Just catching all the edges, the stairs and all the broken pieces on the piece. And there you go. You can see now it's starting to sort of come to life. It's getting a bit of depth to the piece, which is what the dry brushing does. You can see the stonework starting to really sort of show through. Now I'm going to cover it all in an ink wash. So this is an Indian brown ink, and then I'm going to mix this with some basically some matte medium and some water. You can buy matte medium from the range or Hobbycraft. It's not that expensive. I'm just going to basically paste all of it over, and it's going to be super brown when you put it on, so don't worry, it's not going to ruin the piece. When it dries, it's just going to really sort of soak in, and you'll actually lose a lot of the brown, but it will just stay in all the little recesses. So actually it creates quite a murky sort of dingy piece, and just let it run into all the gaps and stuff like that. And there you go. So now I'm going to go back over the piece just with the light grey, but with a big brush. So again, like you can use a cheap makeup brush like I'm using here, and it just captures, doesn't put lots of the paint back, but just captures all the high points like the stairs and just like, you know, around the doorways and all like the corners of all the piece. And there you go. That's the finished dry brush. Just gives you a little bit of texture, and you can see all like the dark spots in all the corners and stuff still there. So now this is the fun bit. So this is the flocking and the base readies. So I've got 4 base readies. You've got Arid Earth, which is this one here. This is from Geek Gaming. It's about £5 a bag. It's quite a big bag. And you've got Forest Path, also from Geek Gaming. Again, about £5 a bag. And here you've got, from Jarvis, you've got Battle Zone Scatter. It's about £3 a bag, and it's very different. It's big chunks, little bits of static graph. It's such a great little base ready. And then I've got some chip slate, which I bought in a big bag from a garden centre for about £6, and it's lasted me forever. And on for the foliage, I'm just going to use some medium blended foam flock just to create some weeds. And I've got some dark here as well that I might use. I'm not sure yet. So basically, I've covered it all in PVA, and I've literally basically just going to start by adding the Arid Earth. Just not completely covering the piece, but leaving gaps, but just put a nice amount over. And this is to create like the pathways through the piece. And just do this on the stairs, do it on all the different, all over the piece. And then basically come in on top with the Battle Zone Scatter, and that's bigger pieces. And you can see here it's starting to create some nice texture around the piece. And as you're doing that, you can also add in some of the chip slate, just in places where maybe like stones and that would have built up, just like not in the doorways, but more in the corners and in the cracks in the corners of the stairs and stuff like that. But just sort of play around with it, sort of bounce from one to the other. And this is the forest path. You can see some of the greenery from the forest path. And this is just sort of where little weeds would sort of grow up. But now we're actually going to add some sort of bigger sort of foliage. So this is the foam flock, and this is going to be in all the places where weeds will grow. So basically anywhere where people probably wouldn't walk. So in between some of the archways, like across the wall, so you can sort of see where, you know, where people don't walk, that's where the weeds would grow up. Creates that bit of interest. Do it in the corners of the stairs. Make sure you also put some in the tower, just some like, you know, some Battle Zone Scatter in the tower, just sort of so show there's sort of been some activity in that. And actually on any little windows you've got on all the window ledges where sort of like stones and that would build up over time. You can really see there's some colour starting to come into the piece now, just from doing the base readies. It's not expensive. It doesn't take a long time. As I say, there's lots of different places you can pick up these base readies for not a large amount of money. And there you go. So that's the piece where it's all been, all the scatter's been placed down. You see in there. You see where like all the weeds and that, where I've placed them, and I've done a little bit in the little nook as well. Now we're going to seal it all in. So I've got some isopropanol mixed with a bit of water, and I'm going to spray that over the whole piece. And then I've got something called matte sealant. So this is PVA matte varnish mixed with water, and it's quite well diluted. And I just basically use the isopropanol to break the surface tension of the piece. And I'm going to basically use a syringe to then put the matte sealant over the whole piece. And you really want to soak it. Just make it so much that the piece almost goes white because you've put so much matte sealant on it. But that will dry clear, and it will dry completely solid. All of the pieces, all the way down through to the MDF, will all be sort of sealed in place. And this sort of thing where if it dries and there's still a few loose pieces, do it again. And this is it, all sealed in place. Got a couple of miniatures here just so you can get an idea of scale. Lots of little spaces to sort of fight over. And the last bit I'm going to do afterwards is the brambles. So spring brambles, you can buy this from Hobbycraft. It's about £6 for a box, so it's quite expensive for how much you get, but you don't use it very often. And you just literally have snipped little chunks off, and I'm going to put the brambles just around this little nook this little hiding spot. And there you go. So just so it sort of creates a little hideaway to place miniatures. Just gives it a little bit of interest, a little bit of character. And that's what it's all about. It's just creating little spaces of interest. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some turfs on there. So this is Toshima One. They're a company based in Cornwall, and they're really, really good value. You get, for every 5 you buy, you get a free set of turfs. And I've got some flowers and bushes that I'm going to just add in. Just not loads, just a few dotted around. But they're really good, adding a little bit of character at the end, a little bit of interest at the end. So it's sort of like long grass in different spots. Not essential, but I'll always like to add them. And this is the final piece. So there's quite lots of entrances into the piece. It's a nice height, the stairs to fight over, and lots of places to hide. So I hope you enjoyed that video today. I really enjoyed this piece, just in terms of like just trying out some different bits to make it playable. So like the little hiding places for miniatures to hide. I loved doing like the turning stairs up onto the tower. As I say, it's a piece that I really enjoy building. It's a piece I know I'm going to really enjoy playing on. As I say, if you like this video, just please put a like down below, and maybe drop me a comment about what specific you like. Loads of people tell me that they love my builds, they love the products that I'm working on, but I'd love it if you can just be really specific about what you like about it, and actually be specific about what you think could be improved. I've had some really great feedback in the past as well, and it really does help me think about what does my next video look like. But as I say, if you like this, subscribe to the channel. I'm working on a couple of other pieces at the moment, but until then, I look forward to seeing you.